Batting first, number 2. Batting first, number 4, Maddie Wright. Batting second, number 1, Jenna Rude. Batting third, number 5, Alana Islas. Batting fourth, number 20, Tatum Briggs. Batting fifth, number 3, Harley Davis. Batting sixth, number 44, London Rue. Batting seventh, number 9, Jordan Reese. Batting eighth, number 17, Baija Newby. Batting ninth in the designated position, number 10, Callie Waller. And in the circle for the Bulldogs, number 2, Braylee Force. The Bulldogs are coached by assistant coach Ciara Luna, John Burke, Anna Barbie, and head coach Jessica Karenke Burke. And now the starting lineups for your Tyler Junior College Apaches. Batting first in left field, number 7, Tati Arzola. Batting second at third base, number 2, Brecklin Dennis. Batting third in right field, number 14, Maddie Hale. Batting fourth in the designated position, number 18, Allie Kim. Batting fifth in center field, number 10, Jalen Perez. Batting sixth at first base, number 8, Jody Dehart. Batting seventh at shortstop, number 11, Paulina Barajas. Batting eighth at second base, number 5, Riley Burke. Batting ninth, catcher, number 21, Blakely Niles. And in the circle for the Apaches, number 16, Emily Holscher. The Apaches are coached by assistant coach Darian Resendez, Haley Holland, and head coach Eric Henderson. We now ask that you stand and remove your caps as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. Technical issues. Let's play ball.
Good afternoon, everyone. From Schwab Field on the campus of Brook Hill School in Bullard, Texas, it's time for Tyler Junior College Apaches softball. This is Dr. Charles Johnson, Dr. J to the Apache ladies, and I'll be bringing you the play-by-play of this afternoon's doubleheader between the Navarro College Lady Bulldogs and the homestanding Tyler Junior College Lady Apaches. It's a beautiful afternoon here in Bullard, Texas. Temperatures in the mid-60s. Not a cloud in the sky. Beautiful weather for ball game. Sun could be a little bit of a factor for fielders, but that's the price softball and baseball players have to pay to play on a beautiful day like today. The Navarro Bulldogs come into today's game with a 9-9 overall record. They're 3-1 in conference play. They last played on Thursday, and they won 2 games against Northeast Texas by a count of 8-3 and 9-1. The Tyler Apaches come into today's game with a 10-10 overall record, with a conference record of 3-3, and they last played on Thursday in Kilgore, and they won a doubleheader 3-2 and 21-2. We're about ready to start action here at Schwab Field. I'm glad you're joining us. And the Bulldogs are going to send up the catcher Maddie Wright to face the left-hander Emily Holscher, who fires a ball on the outside corner for a strike, and we're underway here in Bullard. Glad everyone could be with us. I'll set the lineup defensively for the Apaches in just a moment. Holscher, the Waco native, in the circle. Pitch up high for a ball. Blakely Niles is behind the plate for the Apaches. Brecklin Dennis is at third. Paulina Barajas is at short. Riley Burks at second, and Jody Dehart is at first. There's a line drive past the second baseman into center field. Jalen Perez is over to pick it up. Maddie Wright doubles into right center field to start off the game for the Bulldogs of Navarro.
Now batting with runner in scoring position, no outs.
That was a hard hit ball.
Jenna Rude.
It got under the glove of Riley Burke and on into right center field. And here's Jenna Rude, the center fielder for the Bulldogs, and they're mounting a threat early here in the very first inning. There's a pitch hit outside. Tati Arzola is in left for the Apaches. Jalen Perez is in center and Maddie Hale's in right. Two balls on Rude, and she gets ahead in the count. There's a long fly ball out to center field. It's going to be up against the fence. Wright goes to third, and Rude moves into second with another double. So the Bulldogs come out swinging.
Runners in scoring position. Number 12, Alana Isla.
That ball just got over the head of Jalen Perez in center. Wright was on at second. She was not sure whether Perez could get to the ball, so she held up momentarily at second. So it's 2 on and nobody out for the Navarro Bulldogs, and Alana Islas, the third baseman of the Bulldogs, steps in there to face Holscher. There's a pitch on the corner for a strike. We've just started here in Bullard. The Bulldogs have runners on second and third. No one out. There's a little fly out to right. Maddie Hale looks like she's under it. She has it. There's a throw to home. It's not going to be in time. And Wright scores the first run of the game. Islas flies out.
With runner in scoring position, 1 out. Number 20, Tatum Briggs.
And here's the first baseman, Tatum Briggs, stepping in with a runner to third. Jenna Rude moved to third on that fly ball out to Maddie Hale. So the Bulldogs have taken the lead early. Bolcher throws a strike on the corner. There's a pop into center field. Perez is under it. She has it. There's a throw in, but it's not going to be in time. And the second sacrifice fly in a row plates Rude for the second.
Number 3, Harley Davis.
So Briggs does the job. She flies out to Perez in center, and on the play, Jenna Rude, who had doubled, comes in for the second run of the inning. So the Bulldogs jump off to a 2-0 lead here in the top of the first inning. There's an off-speed pitch in there for a strike. Count evens at 1-1. There's a fly ball down the right field line. Maddie Hale is over, but it's going to be out of play. So Holscher gets ahead 1-2. Harley Davis, the right fielder, leading the Navarro Bulldogs in hitting with a hefty .475 average. She has 1 homer and 9 RBIs. She's a sophomore from Liberty, Texas. Two and two the count. 2 down. 2 runs have scored. There's a ground ball to Hart at first. She grabs it, steps over, touches the bag, and that's the third out of the top of the first inning. However, the Navarro Bulldogs strike first. They score 2 runs on 2 doubles and 2 sacrifice flies. And at the end of a half an inning here at Schwab Field in Bullard, it's the Navarro Bulldogs 2 and the Tyler Junior College Apaches coming to bat. We'll be back in just a moment. Okay, fans, back with you here in Bullard. The Apaches coming up for their first plate appearances. And the leadoff hitter, the left fielder for the Apaches, the freshman Tati Arzola stepping into the batter's box. Tati wearing a number 7 on her black, white, and gold Apache uniform. Braley Force in the circle for Navarro. We're in the bottom of the first. The Bulldogs scored 2 in the top of the first, and have taken the lead early here in this first game of a doubleheader. Arzola hitting .395 with 3 RBIs as the leadoff hitter for the Apaches. There's a pitch, caught the corner. It's a ball and 2 strikes on the leadoff hitter, Arzola. Brecklin Dennis to follow. Maddie Hale will follow Brecklin. The ball sweeps wide, and the count evens at 2-2. We've just got going here in Bullard. Glad that you're with us. Promise some good action this afternoon in this doubleheader. Ball is in the dirt, and the count goes full on the leadoff hitter for the Apaches, Tati Arzola, the freshman from Rogers, Texas. Toddy pops it up down the right first baseline. First baseman for the Bulldogs, Tatum Briggs, is over, and she hauls it in for the first out.
Now batting with 1 out, number 2, Brecklin Dennis.
1 down now, and that'll bring up Brecklin Dennis, the sophomore third baseman for the Apaches. Dennis hitting .344 for the season. She swings and she misses. If some of you were tuned in Thursday for the games in Kilgore, I incorrectly all afternoon said that Brecklin was from Katy, Texas, and she is definitely not from Katy. She's from Cypress, Texas. Apologize to the Cypress, Texas fans and to Brecklin. There's 2 strikes on Dennis. She swings at a rise ball and doesn't get it. And there's 2 up and 2 down for the Apaches here in the bottom of the first inning.
Now batting with 2 outs, number 14, Maddie Hale.
That'll bring up Madison Hale, the sophomore from Corpus Christi, and the leading hitter on the Apache team, batting .443 as she comes in to today's doubleheader. She has 27 hits, leading the team in hits and leading the team in RBIs with 16. She's the Apache right fielder. Takes a pitch up. Two balls, no strikes. Hale the hitter. Force in the circle. Takes a pitch a little bit high. So Hale gets ahead in the count, 3-0. There's a pitch outside, and Maddie Hale has drawn a base on balls. after two were out here in the first for the Apaches.
Batting with runner at first and 2 outs. Number 18, Allie Kim.
Here's number 18, the designated player, Allie Kim. Hale's at first. They're 2 down. Kim takes a strike. Allie Kim is a sophomore from Castle Rock, Colorado. Coming in batting .359 at game time. She has 2 homers, 11 RBIs in the 20 games that the Apaches have played. She swings and fouls it back. She's behind in the count, 0-2. Braylee Force, the freshman from Silsbee, is in the circle for the Navarro Bulldogs. Throw to first, but not in time to pick Maddie Hale off. She gets back in time. It's a ball and 2 strikes on Kim. If she were to get on, Jalen Perez would follow. A little pop back toward us, out of play. We're in the first inning, in case you're just joining us. The Navarro Bulldogs managed to push across 2 runs in the first. The first 2 hitters each doubled and came around on sacrifice flies, and they lead the game 2-0. The Apaches batting with 1 on, 2 outs here in the first. There's a pitch down low. 2-2 your count. Head coach Eric Henderson coaching down at third. Assistant Darian Resendez coaching at first. There's a pitch in the dirt. There goes Maddie Hale. She takes second. The pitch was in the dirt. So Maddie Wright, the catcher, had no play. Now the Apaches have a runner in scoring position. Allie Kim pops it down the right field line, first baseman over, and she's going to take it. So Kim pops it down the right first baseline rather, and the first baseman Tatum Briggs went over to make the play. So the Apaches fail to score in the first. They get a runner, and Maddie Hale, as far as second, but are unable to push her across. So in the first for the Apaches, no runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 left. At the end of the first inning here at Brook Hill School, it's the Navarro Lady Bulldogs 2 and the Tyler Junior College Apaches nothing. Back momentarily.
Now batting for the Bulldogs, number 44, London Rue.
Back to action. Schwab Field in Bullard. We're going to the top of the second inning. The Bulldogs are going to send up London Rue, Jordan Reese, and Gaia Newby. London Rue's the shortstop. Emily Holscher, the lefty from Waco, is in the circle. She fires a pitch that catches the outside corner. London Rue is a freshman from nearby Lindale, Texas. There's a little ground ball headed to Burke at second. She's over it. Oh, she's got it. Fires to DeHart at first. And Rue grounds out 4-3 for the first out here in the second. Here's Jordan Reese. hitting .391. She bats from the left side. Takes a pitch up and outside. Reese is a freshman from West Texas. Swings and she misses. Good rise ball by Emily Holcher. We're in the second. The Bulldogs have taken an early lead in game one of our doubleheader this afternoon. Pops it, lines it down the third base line into the Apache dugout. So Holcher gets ahead of Reese. Swings and she misses. Nice pitch by Holcher. Good rise ball.
Now batting with 2 outs.
And Reese goes down swinging. Here's Beja Newby, the freshman from Groves, Texas, the second baseman of the Bulldogs this afternoon in game one. 2 down now. There's a pitch on that corner. Holcher gets ahead of Newby. Rue grounded out second to first. Reese struck out. And now Newby bats for the Bulldogs. She fouls it back. And she's in the hole 0-2. Stays in there, fouls it off to the right. In case you joined us late, in the first inning, Maddie Wright and Jenna Root both hit doubles for the Bulldogs, and they both scored on sacrifice flies to push the Bulldogs to an early 2-0 lead. There's a little ground ball to Burke at second. She's up with it. Fires to DeHart at first. And that's the inning. 1-2-3 for the Bulldogs. No runs, no hits, no errors, no one left. And at the end of an inning and a half, it's Navarro 2 and Tyler 0. Dr. Johnson back with you at Bullard. We're going to the Apache's second inning. Perez, DeHart, and Barajas will be the hitters, the first 3 hitters for the Apaches.
Number 10, Jalen Perez.
Here's Jalen Perez, the freshman from College Station, the Apache center fielder. She's going to lead off for the Apaches against Braley Force. She fakes a bunt, takes it for a strike. Force has won 6 games and lost 2 for the Bulldogs so far. She's the ace of the staff so far. Perez pops it up. Shortstop going back. Center fielder comes in and calls her off. So Perez hits a fly ball.
Number 8,
out to Jenna Rude in center field, and she's retired for the first Apache out. Here's Jody Dehart, the Apache first baseman. Swings on a drop ball, looks like. 0-1 on Dehart. Jody, the sophomore from Lindale, Texas. Fouls it back. Oop. Ball gets stuck in the net, but a fan helps us out and gets it back on the field of play. So Dehart's in the hole, 0-2. We're in the bottom of the second inning, and the Apaches are trailing 2-0. Swings, and she misses, and DeHart goes down swinging for the second out.
Now batting with 2 outs, number 11, Paulina Barajas.
Here's the shortstop of the Apaches, number 11, Paulina Barajas, the Puerto Vallarta, Mexico native. She takes a pitch down low for a ball. Force is in the circle, and Maddie Wright is catching. Barajas fouls it back, and the count goes even, 1-1. As I mentioned earlier, it's just a beautiful day out here in Bullard. Temperature probably in the mid-60s. 1-1 to Barajas. Outside, 2-1. Perez started the inning by flying out to the center fielder, and Dehart struck out, and now Barajas has a 2-ball, 1-strike count on her. Takes it outside and high for ball 3. So Barajas gets ahead in the count. There are 2 down here in the bottom of the second. She bunts at the ball, fails to connect, and the count goes full to 3-2. A 3-2 pitch coming to Paulina Barajas. She swings and misses on a rise ball that rose out to the right, and Barajas went for it and could not connect. So it's 1-2-3 for the Apaches here in the bottom of the second inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and no one left. And we finished 2 complete innings here at Schwab Field. And our score is the Navarro Lady Bulldogs from Corsicana, Texas, 2. The Tyler Junior College Apache Ladies, 0. Back with you, Schwab Field. We're going to go to the 3rd inning. Ball game moving right along. The Bulldogs are going to send up Callie Waller.
Number 10, Callie Waller.
Waller's the freshman from Mildred, Texas. She's the designated player this afternoon in Game 1. Emily Holscher, the left-hander, is in the circle for the Apaches. Bulldogs took an early 2-0 lead in the first inning. Fouls it off her leg, strike one. Callie Waller's hitting .444 in 9 games for the Bulldogs so far. Pitch up high. As I said earlier, the Navarro Bulldogs come into today's game with a 9-9, 9 wins, 9 losses overall, and they're 3-1 in conference play. There's a little ball down the left field line. Toddy Arzola comes running over, and she's able to
now batting with 1 out.
Grab it for the first out.
Maddie Wright.
Brings the leadoff hitter, Maddie Wright, the catcher, who led off the game for the Bulldogs with a double, and she later scored on a sacrifice fly by Islas. She fouls it over to the left. One down. We're in the top of the third with the Bulldogs from Navarro leading Lady Apaches 2-0. Count goes to 1-1. Maddie Wright is a freshman from White House, Texas. There's a bouncer to Holscher. She fires over to DeHart. 1-3, and that's the second out of the third inning.
With 2 outs. Number 1, Jenna Rude.
Jenna Rude, the center fielder, steps into the batter's box. Jenna doubled in the first inning, and she came in on a sacrifice fly by Briggs. Rude, a sophomore from Arlington, Texas. Two down here in the Bulldog third. Count moves to 1-1. Pitch just a bit outside. 2-1 on Rude. Holscher looks in to Blakely Niles for her sign. There's a ground ball headed to short. Barajas bobbles it, unable to make the play, so Rude's going to reach first on the error. Alana Islas, the third baseman of the Bulldogs, steps in. She hit a sacrifice fly in the first inning to score the first Bulldog run. There's a pitch a little bit outside. Runner at first and 2 down, with the Bulldogs leading the Apaches 2-0. Down a bit low for ball 2. We're in the top of the third inning. Navarro batting and leading the Apaches 2-0. There's a little pop out to Barajas at short. She hauls it in. And that's the third out of the third inning. So for Navarro, they didn't fail to score. There were no hits, no runs, no hits, one error, and one left. So at the end of 2.5 innings, our score is the Navarro Lady Bulldogs 2 and the Tyler Junior College Apaches nothing. Be back in a moment. Here we go into the bottom of the third.
Apaches, number 5, Riley Burke.
And the Tyler's second baseman, Riley Burke, steps in for her first plate appearance of the afternoon. Riley, the sophomore from Riverside, California, swings from the left side. She takes a strike on the corner. Burke comes in with a nice 400 batting average into these games. She has 10 RBIs for the Apaches. Fouls it back. The Apaches, as I mentioned earlier, come into today's ball game with a 10-win, 10-loss record, and they are 3-3 in the Region 14 East Zone Conference. In the dirt, the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. The Apaches looking for their first base hit. They had a runner in the first on a base on balls, but have failed to get their first hit as of yet. There's a ball just outside to even the count at 2-2. Burke's your hitter. Force in the circle for Navarro. Riley fouls it off to the left, hangs in there. Blakely Niles is on deck. Burke hangs tough, fouls it off again to the left. 2-2 the count. We're in the Apache third. They're trailing 2-0. That's up high, and the count goes full. There's a ground ball slowly hit to the second baseman. She comes in and flips it over to first in time to get Burke, and that's the first out here in the bottom of the third inning.
Number 21, Blakely Niles.
Here's the Apache catcher, Blakely Niles. Blakely hitting .290 coming into the game with 4 RBIs. Takes a pitch down low. Blakely's a sophomore from Conroe, Texas. Had a big day the other day over in Kilgore at the bat, with a home run to her credit. She tries to hold back, but the ball hits her bat for a strike, and the count evens at 1-1. We're in the third. Glad you were able to join us. Off-speed pitch. Niles was a little bit in front, missed it. Ball 1 and strike 2. There's a hard hit ball, scooped up by the second baseman, flipped to first, and that's the second out of the inning.
With 2 outs. Number 7, Tati Arzola.
Beja Newby grabbed that ball and flipped it over to Tatum Briggs at first, and that's 2 down, and we're back to the top of the order for the Apaches. Tati Arzola. She popped out to Briggs at first, her first time up. There's a pitch in there for a strike. Two down here in the bottom of the third for the Apaches. There's a hard hit ball out to center field, but right at the center fielder. And center fielder Jenna Rude hauls that in. And so for the second inning in a row, the Apaches go 1, 2, 3. No runs, no hits, no errors, and no one left. And at the end of 3 innings, it is Navarro 2 and Tyler 0. Back with you in just a moment. Well, we've got a fast-moving ball game here in Bullard this afternoon, game 1 of our doubleheader. We're moving into the 4th inning, and the Navarro Bulldogs are going to bring up Briggs, Davis, and Rue. Tatum Briggs, the first sacker, hit a sacrifice fly out to center field in the first and was able to score Jenna Rude from third for the second Bulldog run, and they lead now 2-0. Emily Holscher still in the circle for the Apaches. Briggs steps in there. There's a pitch down low. Briggs is a freshman from Blooming Grove, Texas. There's a bouncer, rolls foul down the third baseline. So it's 2 balls and a strike on the leadoff hitter for the Bulldogs here in the 4th inning, Tatum Briggs. Count goes to 3-1. Harley Davis waits on deck. Swings and she misses. The count goes full, 3-2 to Tatum Briggs. We're in the top of the 4th inning with the Bulldogs holding a 2-0 lead over the Apaches. There's a hard hit ball just foul down the third baseline. Briggs entered the game today hitting .411. She leads the Bulldogs in RBIs with 14. Pitch just a bit outside, so Briggs starts the 4th for Navarro with a base on balls. Harley Davis, the right fielder, steps into the batter's box. She grounded out to DeHart at first unassisted, her first time at bat in the first. As I said a little bit earlier, Davis leads the Navarro squad with a .475 average coming in and 9 RBIs and a home run. Number 3, the sophomore from Liberty, Texas, right-handed hitter, stands in. There's a fly ball down the right field line. Maddie Hale's trying to get there, but she's not going to be able to reach it. So Hosier gets ahead 0-1 to Davis. Briggs at first via base on balls. There's a little bunt. Hosier feels it, but she throws over the second baseman Burke's head, who was covering first. A little bit of a wild throw. So Davis is going to reach first.
Now batting with runners in scoring position.
And on that wild throw, she goes to second. And all the way around to third goes Tatum Briggs. It was a little bunt that was fielded by Hosier. She was a little off balance. She threw, and the ball sailed over Riley Burke, the second baseman who was covering first, for an error. And here's London Rue. She grounded out second to first in her first at-bat of the day. She swings and she misses. Strike 2. The Bulldogs are mounting a threat here in inning number 4. They already hold a 2-0 lead, and they're trying to extend that lead. Pitch a little bit up for a ball. Evens the count at 2-2. Rue, the freshman from Lindale. She swings and misses. Nice pitch by Hosier. There's a rise ball on the outside corner.
Runners in scoring position, 1 out.
And 1 out.
Number 9, Jordan Reese.
And here's Jordan Reese. She was a strikeout victim her first at bat. Coach Karinke Burke's calling time, and it looks like we might have a pinch hitter. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, I believe we are. I believe we're going to have a pinch hitter for Reese. We'll get the number here in just a moment. Number 16. Number 16. Jada Woolley.
Now batting for the Bulldogs with runners in scoring position, 1 out. Number 16, Jada Woolley.
Jada Woolley pinch hitting for Reese with 1 down here in the 4th, and the Bulldogs threatening. They have runners on 3rd and 2nd. 1 down. Woolley takes a pitch outside. Jada Woolley is a sophomore from Corsicana. She swings. She doesn't connect. The count evens at 1-1. There's 1 down. We're in the top of the 4th inning. Navarro trying to add to their 2-0 lead. They have runners in scoring position at 2nd and 3rd, and there's 1 down. There's a pitch that is on the outside corner for a strike. So Holcher's working hard. She gets ahead now of Woolley. Up high for a ball. Evens the count at 2-2. Holcher could certainly use another strikeout here if possible. And she's got it. A nice rise ball that went on that outside corner. Woolley reached out for it, but she couldn't connect. And so Holcher is 1 out away from getting into a really tough jam. Beja Newby, the second baseman, steps in, wearing number 17 on her red Navarro jersey. Ball down for a ball. Briggs is at third, and Davis is on at second via base on balls and then an error. 2 down now. Holcher's trying to wiggle out of this jam. There's a little line drive to Holcher. She knocks it down, grabs it, throws to Dehart at first, and the Apaches are able to escape a big jam here in the 4th inning. No runs for the Bulldogs. There's no hits. There's 1 error, and there's 2 left on. So the Apaches dodge a bullet there in the 4th with runners on 2nd and 3rd and no one out. And at the end of 3.5 innings, our score here at Schwab Field on the campus of Brook Hill School in Bullard, it's the Lady Bulldogs of Navarro College 2 and the Apaches of Tyler Junior College, nothing. I think there's been some substitutions for Navarro. I think Newby may have twisted her knee or ankle as she took off for first base, but we'll have to check that out in a few minutes. Back to play here in the bottom of the 4th, and Dennis, Hale, and Kim will be up for the Apaches. Dennis, the third baseman, was a strikeout victim, her first plate appearance here in the 1st inning. She looks like she's going to bunt, but pulls the bat back, but the ball floats in for a strike. From Cypress, Texas, Brecklin Dennis. She fouls it down the right field line, and she's in a hole, 0-2. 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors for Navarro. No runs, no hits, 2 errors for the Apaches. Ball floats outside, a ball and 2 strikes. Maddie Hale waits on deck. She'll be followed then by Allie Kim. The heart of the Apache order. There's a pop foul backing out of play. Count holds 1-2. Ball outside, evens the count at 2-2 on Dennis. Force looks in to get her sign. And Dennis swings and she misses on a drop ball. Good pitch by Force. It fooled Dennis.
Now batting with
And
one out.
she's a strikeout
Number
victim for the
14,
second time in the
Maddie
game.
Hale.
And Maddie Hale steps in there. Maddie is the only base runner the Apaches have had so far this afternoon. She walked in the first inning, got as far as second. Hale, the leading batter so far this season for the Apaches, coming in to the game today batting .443. She takes a pitch on the corner for a strike. Maddie Hale hails from Corpus Christi, Texas. Pitch outside. It's 2 balls and a strike on Hale, the right fielder of the Apaches. We're in the 4th. There's 1 down. One of the Navarro coaches has called time. She wants to have a word with her pitcher. Not sure who. It may be Sierra Luna, I'm not sure. Probably the pitching coach. We're about ready to go back to action here in the 4th inning. There's 1 down for the Apaches. Maddie Hale has a 3. I think it's a 3, or I'm not sure. It's a 2-1 count. Excuse me, 2-1 count on her. There's a little bunt back to the pitcher. She throws to first. Hale caught a little too much of the ball, and it went right back to the pitcher, Force. She fired over to Briggs for the out. So it's 2 up and 2 down for the Apaches here in the 4th. Allie Kim, the designated player, steps in. She popped to the first baseman in her only attempt at the plate. She takes a ball down. Correction, caught the plate for a strike. There's a little bunt, goes foul. It's 2 strikes on Kim. Kim came into today's doubleheader batting .359 with 2 homers and 11 RBIs. Cleanup hitter for the Apaches. Apaches looking for their first hit. And there's a long drive out into left field. The left fielder comes over and she's able to grab it. A little snow cone out there, but she did a good job of running that ball down. And that's the 3rd out for the Apaches here in the 4th. 1, 2, 3 they go. And that's the 3rd inning in a row that the Apaches have gone in order. No runs, no hits, no errors, and no one left on. And we've completed 4 here at Bullard. And the Navarro Bulldogs lead the Tyler Apaches by a score of 2-0. Back after a short break.
Batting for the Bulldogs, number 10, Callie.
Well, our game is moving along at a pretty rapid pace, and we're into the 5th inning. Number 10, Callie Waller, the designated player, is going to face Emily Holcher to lead off the Bulldog 5th. Waller flew out to Atola and left, her first time up in the third inning. Waller came into today's action hitting .444. She gets ahead of the pitch and hits a long fly down the left field line that's foul. Emily Holscher, after giving up those 2 runs in the first inning, has done a great job since then. There's a pitch on the outside corner, a changeup that totally fooled Waller. She took the pitch for a strike. There's a strike 3. Nice pitch by Holscher. Rise ball on the outside corner, and Waller swung at it but couldn't connect. And Maddie Wright, the leadoff hitter for Navarro, steps in. She's the catcher. She has scored one of the 2 Navarro runs this afternoon. After hitting a double in the first inning, she later scored on a sacrifice fly. Holscher has given up 2 hits in the first inning, and since then she has not given up a hit, and we're in the 5th. There's a line drive right at Paulina Barajas, the shortstop. She handles it. And that's 2 up and 2 down for the Bulldogs. Here's number 1, Jenna Rude, the center fielder for Navarro. 2 up, 2 down in the 5th. Pitch up just a bit for a ball. Holscher's working hard to try to hold the Bulldogs, or keep the Bulldogs right where they are, close, so the Apaches might have a shot at them with 3 more attempts. 1-1 to Jenna Rude. The sophomore from Arlington. There's a line drive, base hit, out into center field. So Jenna Rude gets her 2nd hit of the ball game.
Now batting with 2 outs and a runner at first.
Perez, Apache center fielder, came in and fielded it. It was a solid hit through the middle. And Alana Islas, the third baseman, steps in. She's 0 for 2, well, 0 for 1 actually. She hit a sacrifice fly in the first inning and scored one of those runs. Then she popped out to Barajas in the 3rd. 2 down, a runner on first for the Bulldogs. 5th inning here in Bullard. Count evens, 1-1 on Alana Islas. There's a strike on the corner. Alana Islas is a freshman from Grand Prairie, Texas. Up high for a ball, and that evens the count at 2-2. So deuces wild, 2 outs. 2 balls, 2 strikes on the number 3 slot hitter for the Bulldogs. Pitch is outside and the count goes full. Jenna Rude is on at first via a hard single up the middle, and with 2 out, a swing and a miss. Nice pitch again by Emily Holscher on that outside corner, and Islas goes down swinging. And so for Navarro, here in the 5th, they get no runs, they get 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. We're going to the Apache 5th here in just a moment, and our score is the Navarro Lady Bulldogs 2 and the Tyler Junior College Apaches 0.
Now batting for the Apaches.
Quickly back to action.
Jalen Perez.
These softball games move fast. It'll be Perez, DeHart, and Barajas scheduled to bat for the Apaches in the 5th. They trail 2-0. Perez flew out to the center fielder her first time up. She takes the ball outside. Apaches trying to get the offense untracked here a bit. Olsher is holding the Bulldogs at bay after giving up those first 2 runs in the top of the first. She's gone 4 scoreless innings for the Apaches, but she needs her offense to kick into gear and see if they can get something going. There's a strike. 2 balls and a strike on Perez. Jalen, the freshman from College Station. She fouls it off her foot. And it's 2-2. Down low. And so the count goes 3-2 on Perez. Force looks in for her sign, and she has it. There's a ball hit into right field. That right fielder's coming in, but she's not going to be able to reach it. It's the first base hit for the Apaches. A little bloop out into right. The right fielder came in, but it fell in there in front of her, and so Perez has the first Apache hit, and she's on at first with nobody out. And Jody DeHart, the sophomore from Lindale, steps in for the Apaches. Jody was a strikeout victim her first time up in the 2nd. She attempts to bunt, but she hits it a little bit too hard. It goes out to the shortstop, who was playing in a little bit, so that's an out. And Perez is unable to advance. And here's Barajas, the shortstop, steps in there. She was also a strikeout victim her first attempt. There's a play. There's a ball rather into the dirt. Perez has led off the 5th for the Apaches with a base hit out into right. She's at first with 1 down. Not sure. We believe it's 2 balls and no strikes on Barajas. She pops it down the right field line. They're over to try to make a play, but run out of room, so Barajas stays alive. It's 2 balls and a strike on Paulina Barajas, the Apache shortstop. We're in the 5th. Apaches trailing 2-0. There's a strike on the outside corner. Count evens at 2-2. Perez on at first. Barajas swings and tips the ball, and the catcher's unable to hold on to it, so she has life. 2-2, one down. Jalen Perez at first. She singled to start the fifth. There's a little base hit out into right field just past the second baseman. Perez is going to go to third. And Paulina Barajas, with a good piece of hitting, lines a little base hit between first and second. The ball was out on the outside corner of the plate, but Barajas reached out and punched it into right field past the second baseman. Good piece of hitting by Paulina. And that brings up Riley Burke, and that's going to necessitate a visit from the pitching coach of Navarro. And the Apaches, for the first time in the game, are mounting a real threat. They have a runner, Perez, at third. Barajas will be at first. There will be one down, and Riley Burke, the second baseman of the Apaches, will be the hitter. Coming into today's game, the Navarro College Bulldogs were tied for second place in the East Zone Division with a 3-run record. Bossier Parish Community College was leading the zone with a 4-0 conference record. The Apaches came in with a 500 record, 3-3. All right, back to action. The Apaches are mounting a threat. Riley Burks, she fouls it back. Perez at third, Barajas at first. Burke grounded to second her first time up. She fouls it back again. Barajas is moving on the play. So the first two hits for the Apaches here in the fifth inning, a single by Perez and a single by Barajas, have put the Apaches into business here, trying to up high, trying to do something about that 2-0 deficit. Burke, your hitter, 1 ball, 2 strikes on her. Ball's outside, count evens. Burke was hitting 400 before the game started today, so she's one of the better Apache hitters. Outside. So the count's 3-2. Three-two, 1 out. Riley Burke, your hitter. She just gets a piece of it, fouls it back, and stays alive. It was a rise ball that Riley was able to tip and hang in there. We're in the fifth. Navarro clinging to a 2-0 lead, but the Apaches are threatening. Up high. So Forrest walks Burke.
Now batting with the bases loaded, 1 out. Number 21, Blakely Niles.
And the Apache catcher, Blakely Niles, steps in. Blakely grounded out second to first, her first time up in the third inning. And the Apaches have the bases loaded with 1 out. Ball's outside for a ball. Bases full of Apaches. Perez at third, Barajas at second, and Riley Burke, who just walked, is at first. There's a pitch in there for a strike. Burke had a notion but held back. The pitch came in there for a strike, and it's 1-1 on Niles, the catcher from Conroe. She fouls it back. And Force gets ahead of Niles. The Apaches really need a base hit, or at least for Blakely to put it into play. 2-2. Big spot in the game for the Apaches so far. They finally mounting a threat and trying to get back into the game here. Niles fouls it down into the dirt, and she hangs at 2-2. 1 out. Bases loaded for Apaches. There's a pitch that hits the outside corner, and Blakely Niles is a strikeout victim, and that's a big out
Now batting with bases
for
loaded,
Braley
out.
Force.
Number 7, Tati Arzola.
So Tati Arzola, the Apache leadoff hitter, steps in. She is 0 for 2 today, and she's in a big spot for the Apaches. Takes a ball outside. Arzola popped out to first in the first inning, and she flew out to center in the third. It's a ball and a strike on Arzola. Apaches have the bases loaded, but they're 2 down now. She pops it up, looks like it's going to be out of play, and floats over the screen and out of play. So Arzola's will be down in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Perez is at third, Barajas is at second. Riley Burke, who walked, is at first. Apaches have a chance here, but they're 2 down. There's a little ground ball to second. She grabs it, flips to the shortstop, and the Bulldogs escape trouble as Arzola grounds to the second baseman, who flipped to the shortstop, coming across the bag for the 3rd out. So the Apaches threaten, but they don't score. They get no runs. They get 2 base hits. There were no errors, and 2 men left on base. Three runners left on. So the Bulldogs dodge a bullet there, and at the end of 5 complete innings now, the Navarro Bulldogs maintain their 2-0 lead over the Tyler Apaches, and we'll be back for the 6th inning in just a moment.
Now batting for the Bulldogs, number 20, Tatum Briggs.
We go to the 6th, everyone. Navarro holding a 2-0 lead over the Apaches, and Tatum Briggs, first baseman, will lead it off. Holscher fires a strike on the outside corner. Briggs flew out to center, a sacrifice fly, scored a run in the first. She walked in the 4th inning. She hits a ball out to left field, but Tati Arzola goes over and she catches it.
Now batting with 1 out, number 3, Harley Davis.
Harley Davis, the right fielder, steps into the batter's box. She grounded out to DeHart at first in the first inning, and she was on an error in the fourth inning. 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors for Navarro. No runs, 2 hits, 2 errors for the Apaches so far. One and one. Harley, the sophomore from Liberty. She swings at an outside pitch and doesn't connect. And Holcher continues to throw well. Had a little bit of a rocky start, but since then she has done a great job. There's a pitch that may be just a bit outside, says the ump. It's 2-2. There's a fly ball out to right. Maddie Hale's looking up into that sun, but she's able to get a beat on it and gather it in for the second out. So Davis flies out to Hale and right, and London Rue, the shortstop, steps in. London grounded to second her first at bat, and she struck out in the fourth inning. So she's 0 for 2. There are 2 down here in the Navarro 6th. They've maintained a 2-0 lead since the very first inning. Foul back. Two down here in the Navarro 6th. Pitch sails outside. It's 2 balls and 1 strike on London Rue. The freshman from Lindale swings and she misses. A couple of Lindale girls in this game, one for the Apaches and one for Navarro. There's a pitch that catches the outside corner. Rue looks back, can't quite believe it, but she has to believe it because it's strike 3. So Emily Holcher sets down the Bulldogs 1-2-3 in the 6th. No runs, no hits, no errors, and no one left. And we've gone 5.5 innings here of this 7-inning opening game of our doubleheader. And the Navarro Lady Bulldogs are maintaining a 2-0 lead over the Tyler Apaches, and we will be back for the bottom of the 6th here very shortly. Dr. J back with you for the Apache half of the 6th inning. Time's running short for the Apaches. They trailed 2-0. They had the bases loaded in the 5th but couldn't do anything. Brecklin Dennis pops it up. It's going to hit the dirt and Dennis is going to be aboard. It was a little pop-up out in front of the plate. The catcher went for it. The pitcher came in and dove for it. No one could get it, and Brecklin Dennis is on to first with a no out. And Maddie Hale, who has walked and grounded back to the pitcher, steps in with a runner at first and nobody out for the Apaches. There's a little bouncer back to the pitcher. She fires over to first. 1-3 for the out, a sacrifice. And on the play, Dennis goes to second.
Now batting with runner in scoring position, 1 out. Number 18, Allie Kim.
Allie Kim. The designated player steps in. She's 0 for 2. The Apaches have a runner at second. Brecklin Dennis is on at second. She moved up on a sacrifice by Hale. Up high for a ball. Two balls on Allie Kim, the designated player. She flies it into right field, but it's going to be out of play. Allie Kim fouls it back, and the count goes to 2-2. We're in the sixth. The Bulldogs clinging to a 2-0 lead. The Apaches have a runner at second and 1 down. There's a line drive to first base. It's going to be a double play. The first baseman grabbed it, turned, and fired to second. Brecklin Dennis had broken off the bag, and she's going to be doubled off. Nice play from the first baseman Tatum Briggs, who grabbed the ball, turned, and fired to second to double Brecklin Dennis off. And so just like that, the Apaches are down in the sixth as they failed to score again. They had 1 hit on a bunt single by Dennis. No errors and no one left. And we've completed 6 complete innings now here in Bullard. And the score remains the Lady Bulldogs from Navarro 2 and the Tyler Junior College Apaches nothing. We'll be back for the 7th inning for this fast-moving opening game of our doubleheader.
You're like me, dude. When I'm not comfortable with something, I need somebody who's comfortable.
Yeah, and then if it's a foul, it's a strike. Unless there's 2 fouls, then he gets many fouls. I mean, 2 strikes.
Now batting
We're back
Bulldogs, number 9.
Here at Schwab Field in a pitcher's duel. The Bulldogs coming to bat. We'll see who our hitter is here. Number 9, ground ball to Burke. Number 9 was Jordan Reese. She grounds 4-3 for the first out in the 7th.
Now batting for the Bulldogs with 1 out. Number 15, Caitlin Woodley.
Caitlin Woodley.
Number 15.
Okay. Woodley, the hitter. Swings, and she misses. 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors for Navarro so far. No runs, 3 hits, 2 errors for the Apaches. There's a pop-up out to center field. Jalen Perez drifts under it. She has no problem with it. Hauls it in for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down.
Now batting with 2 outs. Number 10, Kelly Waller.
Callie Waller, the designated player who's 0 for 2 today, will be your Navarro batter. Emily Holscher has done a great job for the Apaches since giving up those 2 runs early in the first inning. She has been superb on the mound and has given her club a chance to stay in the ball game, and they threatened but have not been able to break through for any runs. There's a pitch, floats outside to Waller. She flew out in the 3rd and she struck out in the 5th. Waller from Mildred, Texas. She takes a pitch outside. There's a drive down the left field line. It's going to be foul. Orzola moved over but was out of her reach. So now we've got 2 and 2. 2 and 2 on Callie Waller, the designated player for Navarro. Apaches will have one last shot at staying in this ball game in the 7th. Popped up on the infield. Jody DeHart, first baseman, looking up into the sun, but she's able to grab it for the 3rd out. So 1, 2, 3 go the Bulldogs in the 7th. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. So one last chance for the Apaches here in game number 1 of our doubleheader. They trail 2-0 to the Bulldogs, and we'll be back in just a moment. So fasten your seat belts and let's see what the Apaches can do in their 7th.
Number 10, Jalen Perez.
Well, here we go. Last chance for the Apaches here in the 7th. It'll be Perez, DeHart, and Barajas scheduled up to face Braley Force, who's given up 3 hits to the Apaches, but so far they've not been able to score. Perez takes a strike. She flew out to center in the 2nd, and then she got a base hit in the 5th inning. One of the 3 Apache hits. She fakes a bunt. It catches the outside corner of the plate, and she's down in the count 0-2. She pops it up, protects the plate, pops it back out of play. There's 2 strikes on Jalen Perez. There's a ball that floats outside. Perez trying to start something for the Apaches, their last chance.
Yeah, that was
There's a hard hit ball to third. Third baseman up with it. Fires to first and plenty of time to get Perez. So Jalen Perez grounds out Islas over to Briggs. So with one down, we're going to have a pinch hitter. Malia Olvera is going to pinch hit for D. Hart. Olvera, the sophomore from Deer Park, Texas. There's one down in the seventh. Olvera takes it a little inside for a ball. Last chance for the Apaches. There's a hard line drive down the right field line, but it goes foul. Count evens up on Malia Olvera. Bulldogs holding a 2-0 lead here in the seventh inning. Last chance for the Apaches. She fouls it hard down the third baseline. It's 1-2 on Olvera. There's one down. Perez led off the inning, grounding third to first. Up high for a ball. Malia laid off that rise ball. It's very tempting with 2 strikes on you. She hangs in there, fouls it off to the left. 3 hits for each ball club, but the Bulldogs managed to score 2 runs in the first, and they've maintained that 2-0 lead into the seventh here. Force looks in for a sign. She's got it. Olvera protects the plate and fouls it down the right field line. 2-2 on Malia Olvera. Braylee Force trying to finish this game for the Bulldogs. She's got 1 out here in the seventh. Again, Olvera fouls it off. Two, 1 gone here in the seventh. Game 1 of your doubleheader. Olvera hits it out to center. Center fielder Rude circles under it. She's got it.
Now batting with 2 outs. Number 11, Paulina Barajas.
And the Apaches are down to their last out. Paulina Barajas, the shortstop, is going to be your hitter. She struck out in the second inning and then singled to right in the 5th inning when the Apaches, she fouls it off to the left. When the Apaches had their best chance to score, but failed to push any runs across. Paulina, the Puerto Vallarta, Mexico native. She takes a pitch just a bit outside. 1-1. Last chance for Tyler. They trail 2-0 and we're in the 7th. There's a pitch just a bit outside. Correction, that was called a strike. A ball and 2 strikes. So we're down to, the Apaches down to their last strike. Paulina hangs in and fouls it off to the left, stays alive.
The one on this side is balls.
The Apaches trail by 2. They need some 2-out magic here to stay in this ball game. Up high, 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Barajas. 2 down here in the 7th. Last chance for the Apaches. There's a ground ball headed to left field, and Barajas keeps the Apaches alive with a base hit. Her second hit of the game. Barajas sends a single between short and third.
Batting with a runner at first and 2 outs. Number 5, Riley Burke.
So Barajas keeps the Apache hopes alive with a single between short and second out into left. And Riley Burke, the second baseman for the Apache, steps in. She's grounded out and walked. And Burke's on at first. Barajas is on at first, and Burke fouls it back. Riley Burke, the sophomore from Riverside, California, trying to keep the Apaches alive. She takes a strike. So it's no balls and 2 strikes on Burke. Last chance for the Apaches here. Up high. It was a snap throw down to first to try to catch Barajas off, but she managed to get back under the tag. The coach of Navarro is asking on appeal, see if the home base umpire saw it any differently, but she says no, that was your call, so Barajas remains at first. The Apaches stay alive. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Riley Burke. Fouls it back. A ball and 2 strikes on Riley Burke. The pitch, she taps it down the third baseline. It rolls foul, so Burke stays alive. Barajas is at first. Burke's your hitter. We're in the bottom of the 7th. Last chance for the Apaches. They trail 2-0, but they have a runner on first. Burke reaches out and taps it down the left field line, out of play. The count remains 1-2. We're in the 7th. Last chance for the Tyler Apaches in game 1 of our doubleheader. There's a pitch outside. Count goes 2-2. There's 2 outs, 2-2. The count. Blakely Niles, the catcher, waits on decks, hoping to get an at-bat if Burke can keep it alive. She reaches out, fouls it again. Okay, 2-2, 2 outs. Barajas at first. Burke's your hitter. Braley Force trying to get a third out here. And Riley Burke keeps fouling balls off to stay alive. Timeout called by Jessica Karinke-Burke, the head coach of the Navarro Bulldogs, in her 21st year as head coach of the Navarro team. Giving some words of advice to her players, trying to get this third out. Riley Burke has been a tough out so far. She's fouled 4 or 5 pitches away to stay alive. Okay, we're ready to go back to action here. Two balls, 2 strikes. Here's a pitch into the dirt. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 3-2 on Burke. She fouls it again over to the right out of play, or to the left out of play, excuse me. So the count remains 3-2 on Burke. Trying to keep the Apaches alive here in the game 1 of our doubleheader. Burke calls time. There's a little ground ball to the second baseman. She grabs it, throws to first, and that's going to do it. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left. And the Navarro Bulldogs have won the first game of our doubleheader by a score of 2-0. Well, it was a fast-played game, well-played game. The Bulldogs of Navarro jumped out ahead in the very first inning when Maddie Wright doubled, followed by another double by Jenna Rude, and then sacrifice flies by Islas and Briggs brought in those 2 runs, and those 2 runs held up for the Bulldogs, and they came away with this 2-0 victory. 2 runs on 3 hits, no errors for Navarro. The Apaches failed to score. They out-hit Navarro 4-3. They committed 2 errors. It was a hard luck loss for Emily Holscher, who after that first inning pitched tremendous ball and held the Bulldogs at bay, giving her Apache teammates a chance, but they couldn't find the way to get any runs across. They had their best opportunity in the 5th inning when Perez singled, Barajas singled, Burke walked. They had the bases loaded, but then Forrest managed to strike out Niles and get Garzola, and that was the closest that the Apaches came to tying the score. For the Apaches, Brecklin Dennis had one of the 4 hits. Jalen Perez had a hit. Paulina Barajas had 2 hits. And that was it. Emily Holcher pitched 7 complete innings. She gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, a base on ball. She walked 1, and she struck out 6. And I'd say a hard luck loss for Emily. She did a great job. Braylee Forrest did a great job for Navarro. She pitched 7 complete innings. She gave up 4 hits, didn't give up a run. She walked 2 and struck out 5, so she gets the win and Holscher gets the loss. So game 1 of our doubleheader this afternoon is in the books, and the Navarro Bulldogs go to 10-9 now, their record, and a 4-1 conference. The Tyler Apaches go to 10-11 now, and 3-4 in the conference. We're going to have a second ball game for you here in about 20 to 30 minutes. I'll leave the streaming on, and I'll be back with you for that second game, as I say, in just a little while. So, from Schwab Field, Dr. Johnson, about to take a little break after our first game. The Navarro Bulldogs defeated the Tyler Junior College Patches by a score of 2-0. We'll be back with you in just a little while. Hello again, everyone. Dr. Johnson back with you at Schwab Field on the campus of Brook Hill School in Bullard, Texas, just south of Tyler. We're about to start the second game of the doubleheader this afternoon between the Navarro College Lady Bulldogs and the Tyler Junior College Lady Apaches. We just finished a fast-moving first game that the Bulldogs won 2-0, and we're about to start game number 2 here in just a moment.
Now batting for the Bulldogs, number 4, Maddie Wright.
Maddie Wright, the Bulldog catcher, will lead off. She'll be followed by center fielder Jenna Rude and third baseman Elena Islas. And in the circle for the Tyler Apaches is the freshman from Rotan, Texas, Riley Denton. Freshman Riley Denton. We'll set the Apaches defensively for you in just a moment. First pitch of the second game is outside for a ball.
Sometimes it'll stick here. I always delay these.
There's a pitch in there for a strike. Riley Denton has been the ace of the staff so far this year. She's won 7, lost 3, 11 appearances with a 3.12 ERA. Maddie Wright, the freshman from White House, swings and fouls it.
So what is that? Tell me.
In game number 1, Wright led off the game for Navarro with a double, and she later scored on a sacrifice fly.
Unless they catch it.
She was 1 for 3 in game number 1. Swings, and she misses.
Strike 3. Okay, yeah.
So there's the first out of the ball game. Maddie Wright goes down swinging.
Batting with 1 out, number 1, Jenna Rude. Good job.
And center fielder Jenna Rude steps into the batter's box. Jenna, the sophomore from Arlington, Texas. She also doubled in the first game in the first inning and scored the second Navarro run, and those were the only 2 runs in the ball game. Braley Force did a great job for Navarro, as did Emily Holscher for the Apaches. There's a pitch just a bit inside, so it's 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. We're just getting started here in game number 2 at Schwab Field in Bullard. There's a pitch on the outside corner. Brecklin Dennis is at third for the Apaches. Kendall Hernandez is in at short. Riley Burks at second, and Allie Kim is at first. A ball and 2 strikes. There's a pitch just a bit outside. Rude had a notion, but she held back and called a ball. So 2-2, 1 down. We're just getting underway. Arzola is the left fielder for the Apaches. Perez is in center, and Maddie Hale's in right. Swings, and she misses. Strike 3. 2 up, 2 down, 2 strikeouts for Riley Denton.
Number 12, Alana Islas.
Catching Denton this game is the freshman Maddie Vaughn. So Denton starts game 2 with 2 strikeouts. There's a little ground ball that Burke handles it. She goes to first for the 3rd out. And it's 1-2-3 for the Bulldogs in the first. No runs, no hits, no errors, and no one left on. And game 2 is underway. We've got a half an inning behind us. And the Apaches are going to come to bat with Arzola, Dennis, and Hale. We'll be back in just a moment. Back with you at Bullard for the bottom of the first for the Apaches.
Now batting for the Apaches, number 7, Tati Arzola.
Tati Arzola, the freshman from Rogers, Texas, steps in. She's the leadoff hitter for the Apaches. In game number 1, Arzola was 0 for 3. She takes a pitch down low and inside for a ball. Brooklyn Swacker is in the circle for the Navarro Bulldogs. She fires a strike to even the count at 1-1. Brooklyn is a freshman from Danbury, Texas. Ball outside. Swacker has won 3 and lost 4 for the season, 9 appearances, an ERA of 4.77. Takes a little off in there for a strike. That evens the count to Arzola, the Apache left fielder, leading off here in the bottom of the first inning. The Bulldogs went 1-2-3 in the top of the first. Arzola fouls it off to the left. It's going to be out of play. In case you're just joining us, we had a pitcher's duel in the first game. Fast-moving affair that the Bulldogs scored 2 in the first and held on for a 2-0 victory over the Apaches. Count goes to 3-2. To Arzola. She'll be followed by Dennis and then Hale. Arzola hits one deep to left. Her left fielder's going back. Looks like she's got a beat on it, and indeed she does. She hauls it in. So Arzola flies out to left to Jordan Reese.
Number 2.
And there's one down for the Apaches here in the first. That'll bring up third baseman Brecklin Dennis, who was 1 for 3 in game number 1. Appeal play, and they say Brecklin went around, so it's a strike. So Swacker gets ahead of Dennis. Arzola has flown out to start the Apache first, and now Dennis steps in there. There's a pitch. Looks like down a little bit low for ball 1. 1-1. Brecklin, a sophomore from Cypress Woods High School, I believe. Takes the pitch outside. 2 balls and a strike. Dennis, second batter up for the Apaches in game 2 of our doubleheader here from Schwab Field in Bullard. Beautiful afternoon. She hits it hard down the right field line, but ahead of the pitch, and the count goes even, 2-2. Swacker looks in for her sign. Dennis fouls it back, or fouls it over to the right again, out of play. Maddie Wright behind the plate for the Navarro Bulldogs. Brooklyn Swacker in the circle. Islas at third. Rue at short. Waller at second. There's a pitch up. Tatum Briggs is at third. In left is Jordan Reese. In center, Jenna Rude, and in right field, Harley Davis. A full count on Dennis, second batter up for the Apaches in the first inning. That ball floats outside and low, and Brecklin Dennis is at first with a base on balls.
Now batting with a runner.
Here's Maddie Hale, the right fielder.
Maddie Hale.
Maddie Hale in game one drew a base on balls, bounced back to the pitcher, and then sacrificed. Ball is outside. A ball and no strikes. Maddie Hale, the right fielder, sophomore from Corpus Christi, Texas. Out, got the corner for a strike, 1-1. Coming into today's game, Maddie was the leading hitter on the Apaches. Came in batting .443, 16 RBIs, which was leading the ball club, still is. There's a little pop down the left field line that's going to be out of play, or foul, out of play. So that's a strike, ball and 2 strikes on Hale. Brecklin Dennis is at first. She drew the base on balls. Hale steps back in there. She's ready. Swacker looks in for her sign, and she delivers. Hale hits one. It's going to be in the gap in right center field. It's going to roll all the way to the fence. Brecklin Dennis is going to score, and Maddie Hale has doubled to the fence in right center, and she's going to drive in the first Apache run of this game and the first Apache run of the whole afternoon. So the Apaches strike first here in game number 2. Maddie Hale found the gap. The ball rolled all the way to the wall. Brecklin Dennis had no trouble scoring from first, and Hale winds up at second with a double. So here's Allie Kim playing first base this game. She was a designated player in game number 1. Allie was 0 for 3 in the initial contest. She pulls it foul down the left field line. So it's 2 strikes on Kim. Swacker in the circle. Kim from Castle Rock, Colorado, a sophomore at TJC. She takes a pitch down in the dirt. A ball and 2 strikes. Allie slams one down the third baseline, goes foul. Just patched head coach Eric Henderson, who's coaching third. Over at first is assistant coach Darianne Resendez, coaching for the Apaches. There's a runner at second, and we've got 1 out. Kim, the batter. She holds up. The ball floated outside. Evens the count at 2-2. The Apaches have scored first here in game number 2. Dennis walked, and then Maddie Hale just doubled to the fence in right center to drive in Dennis. There's a line drive. It's going to be in the gap again, all the way to the fence. And Allie Kim has doubled very near the same place that Maddie Hale doubled, all the way to the fence in right center. And so 2 doubles in a row have driven in 2 runs. And Kim has an RBI, and the Apaches jump out to a 2-0 lead here in the first inning. I'm sure they're thinking, okay, now where were those hits in game number 1? That's what we needed. But of course, easier to say than to do, and certainly Brayley Force, who pitched a great game, a shutout for Navarro in Game 1, had something to do with that. So Brooklyn Swacker has given up 2 runs here in the first inning. Dennis walked, Hale doubled, now Kim has doubled. 2 runs are in, and Malia Olvera, sophomore from Deer Park, Texas, steps in. She's the designated player this game. She hits one far down the left field line, well out of play. Malia wearing a number 1 on her Apache jersey. Takes a pitch that finds the inside corner. She's down in the count 0-2. Olvera's a hitter. Perez waits on deck. Reaches out and fouls it off to the right. Stays alive. No balls, 2 strikes. Olvera the batter. Brooklyn Swacker in the circle for the Bulldogs. Foul back. Count remains 0-2. So the Apaches have taken an early lead here in Game 2, just as the Bulldogs did in the first inning of game number 1. There was an off-speed pitch, changeup, that Malia was a little bit out in front of. She tapped it foul down the third baseline. Kim's at second after doubling to the fence in right center, driving in the second Apache run. Malia Olvera hits a hard line down and over the fence, but a little bit foul. Count remains, no balls, 2 strikes. 5th, number 5 hole hitter in the Apache lineup this afternoon for Game 2, Malia Olvera. She pops it back. Malia is just rounding back in shape after 2 early season injuries, a strained knee, and then on a defensive play she's hurt her wrist. She's just now kind of getting back into full playing shape, and we look for her to be a force in the coming conference games. She led the team in hitting last year, as well as RBIs and home runs. A pitch just on the inside that hits her. She's hit by the pitch, so she'll go to first.
Now batting with a runner at first and second, 1 out. Number 10, Jalen Perez.
Here's Jalen Perez, the Apache center fielder. She bunts out toward the pitcher, who grabs it. There's no one covering first. And I believe that's going to be a base hit. Perez bunts to the pitcher, who turned to throw to first, but there was no one covering first, so the Apaches load the bases now after one is out.
Loaded, 1 out. Number 24, Kendall Hernandez.
Nice bunt by Perez. She beat it out, but a little miscommunication, and the Bulldogs had no one to cover first. Kendall Hernandez fouls one down the third base line. Kendall is a sophomore from Waco, Texas, a graduate of Robinson High School there outside Waco. She pops one down the third base line over Islas. The third baseman is able to grab the ball, and that's the second out. So the bases remain loaded, and Riley Burke, the Apaches' second baseman, steps into the batter's box. Riley takes a pitch on the outside corner for a strike. Burke was 0 for 2 in game number 1. She did walk one plate appearance. She pops one down the third baseline. Alana Islas reached out to try to grab it, but it was out of her reach. So Burke gets it in the hole 0-2. The Apaches have scored 2 runs here in the first inning of game number 2, and they're trying to get a few more, but Burke's the hitter. That ball is going to be in there. That's going to score another run. 1 run scores. Allie Kim comes in on the little base hit out to left field. Burke went the opposite field. Good piece of hitting by Riley.
With the bases loaded, 2 outs. Number 22, Maddie Vaughn.
And here's the freshman from Erie, Colorado, Maddie Vaughn, in her first plate appearance today. Coach Karinke Burke of the Navarro Bulldogs has called time, and looks like we may have we're going to have a pitching change. A lefty's coming in. We'll see who that is in just a moment. Get her number. Can't tell just yet, but she'll turn around in a minute and we can tell. Number 15. Who's 15? 15 coming in to pitch. Caitlin Woodley. Caitlin Woodley coming in to pitch for the Bulldogs.
I have this, yeah.
She comes in with 2 down in the first inning for the Apaches. They've scored 3 runs that are threatening to add to that total. They've got the bases loaded. Olvera is at third. Perez is at second. Riley Burke, who just singled and drove in a run, is at first. Maddie Vaughn, the catcher for the Apaches, his second game, is at the plate. She takes the strike from the lefty. There's a pitch up and outside just a bit. Count moves to 1-1. Apaches have scored 3 and threatening to add to that total if Vaughn can do some damage here. She hits a little foul ball down the third base side against the Apache dugout. So the count remains 1 ball, 2 strikes on Madison Vaughn. Madison Vaughn hits a little base hit that drops into center field. 2 runs are going to score, and Vaughn reaches out, a good piece of hitting, pops it into short center field, and that's going to score Malia Olvera.
Now batting with runners at first and second, 2 outs.
And Jalen Perez.
Tati Arzola.
So here's Arzola, the leadoff hitter. We're still in the first inning. The Apaches have scored 5 times. There's a pitch in there for a strike. On that base hit by Vaughn, Burke went to second. Olvera came in to score. Perez came in to score. The Apaches have scored 5. There's a pitch just a bit outside. 2 balls and a strike. 5-0 Apaches here, and we're still in the first inning. They have 2 runners on, 2 outs. The leadoff hitter, Arzola, swings and fouls it. Toddy flew out to the left fielder to start the Apache inning. So this is her second appearance here in the first inning. They batted around. They're 2 down. Arzola is hit on the arm. Jessica Garinke-Burke, the Navarro coach, is going to have a word about with the home plate umpire about that. She's not so sure that Arzola tried to get out of the way, but we'll see what the umpire doesn't seem to agree that she intentionally tried to get hit, but we'll see after the little visit. If it stands, well, she's back in there. Evidently, after the discussion, they decided that perhaps, well, Coach Henderson of the Tyler Apaches wants a little word with the umpire. Now, what are we doing here? He says.
Yeah, let's just wait and see what he does. Do you know why that says 4, but then under total runs it says 5? Kelsey's gonna come up. What score is 5? Yeah, it's 5. Yeah, it's 5-0. I don't know why that says 4 though.
Okay, they're going to get explain things to Henderson, but nonetheless, Arzola's back in the batter's box.
Let's see what he says.
Now, Coach Burke of Navarro wants a little explanation, and there's quite a bit of discussion about did she or didn't she? Did she intentionally get hit? Well,
So it's 3-2 full.
3-2, a full count on Arzola. Well, that ball is down low, and so Arzola walks, moving Burke to third and Maddie Vaughn to second.
Now batting with the bases loaded, 2 outs. Number 2, Brecklin Dennis.
And Brecklin Dennis steps in for her second plate appearance in inning number 1. She walked and then scored the first Apache run a little bit earlier in the inning. In the circle, Caitlin Woodley. There's a good pitch, curveball that floated over the plate, and Dennis took it. Burke's at third, Vaughn is at second, Arzola, who just drew the walk, is at first. There's 2 down. The Apaches have scored 5 runs so far. Dennis reaches out and taps it foul to the right. Last Thursday in Kilgore, the Apaches played a close game and squeaked out a 3-2 victory, and then the Bats came alive and they pounded Kilgore 21-2. Makes you wonder. Uh-oh, it's hit Brecklin in the knee, it looks like, or the shin. She's down on the ground halfway to first. It's a little pain there, but she's limping to first. So Dennis is hit by the pitch. Well, the umpire's calling her back, and we've got further discussion. So Dennis is going to be back in there. I'm not sure what the call was. Perhaps one thing definitely, she got hit on the leg. She's flexing the knee and all. She's in a little bit of pain.
It's 2-2.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Nonetheless, we'll maybe get a clarification later. But nonetheless, the Apaches have the bases loaded, and Brecklin Dennis stands in there with a 2-2 count. She fouls it off to the left and stays alive. Don't know if they ruled that she swung at the pitch or what, but anyway, bases loaded, 2 count on Dennis, 2 outs. We're still in the first. The Apaches have scored 5. It's down low, 3-2. Full count on Brecklin, the diminutive third baseman, junior college All-American a couple of years ago. She taps one to first. Ruled fair by the home plate umpire. And so Dennis is going to be called out. 3 unassisted. So Brecklin Dennis on another disputed play rolled down first. The first baseman picked it up. That was Tatum Briggs. She tagged the bag, but there's some Apache fans, including their coaches, feel like that ball rolled foul just before it got to first, but that wasn't how the umpires saw it. So Dennis grounds out, three unassisted. So the Apaches strike first, and in a big way here in the inning number 1. They get 5 runs on 4 hits, no errors, the bases left loaded.
I'll panic too much, and so will this guy.
So we finished an inning here at Schwab Field in Bullard, and the Apaches have taken the lead by a score of 5-0. Be back with more action in just a moment. Okay, fans, Riley Denton back to the circle for the Apaches. We go to the second inning. It'll be Briggs, Davis, and Rue for the Lady Bulldogs to face the tall right-hander from Rotan, Riley Denton. Pitch is in the dirt for ball 1. We're in inning number 2, game number 2 of our doubleheader this afternoon. The Bulldogs took game 1 by a count of 2-0. Outside for ball 2. Tatum Briggs, the freshman from Blooming Grove, Texas, playing first base for the Bulldogs. Riley Denton throws low, and she's behind Briggs 3-0. Navarro went 1-2-3 in the first against Denton. There's a pitch in there for a strike. 3-1 on Tatum Briggs. Way outside, and that's ball 4. And Briggs is on with a base on balls to start the Navarro's second. Number 3, Harley Davis, the right fielder, is going to step in. The sophomore from Liberty. She was 0 for 3 in game number 1. Again, as I had mentioned before, Harley came into the game leading the Bulldogs in hitting. Ball 2 down low. So Denton's having a little bit of problem finding the plate here to start inning number 2. She struck out 2 in inning 1, but she's walked the first hitter here in the second, and she's behind in the count to Harley Davis. There was a little ground ball tap foul down the first baseline. So it's 2 balls and a strike on Davis. In the second, just starting game number 2 of our doubleheader. There's a good pitch. Swinging strike 2. Ball 2, strike 2 now. Runner on first. There's a little tap toward Dennis at third. She grabs it. Fires over to Allie Kim at first. 5-3 for the putout. And on the play, Briggs moves to second. Here's London Rue, the shortstop. She's the Lindale native. There's a pitch in there for a strike. So after having just a bit of trouble finding the plate early in this inning, Riley Denton has now started firing strikes. There's a little ground ball headed toward Fernandez at short. She throws to first just in time. It's a close play, but Rue was called out. 6-3, and there's 2 down.
Now batting with runner in scoring position, 2 outs. Number 9, Jordan Reese.
Here's Jordan Reese, the Bulldog left fielder. She's the freshman from West Texas. The Apaches have jumped off to an early 5-0 lead here in game number 2 of the doubleheader after they lost a 2-0 game in game number 1. Reese swings and fouls it. Count evens 1-1. Taps it off to the left, foul. It's 64 degrees here in Bullard, just a beautiful afternoon for the ball games. Got a pretty good little crowd out here. Fans of the Apaches and the Bulldogs. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. and Reese goes down swinging. So after walking the first hitter here in the second, Riley Denton retires Davis,
Bottom of the second.
Rue, and Reese,
Apache's leading 5-0.
and the Bulldogs from Navarro failed to score. No runs, no hits, no errors, and one left. And at the end of an inning and a half, the Tyler Junior College Apaches lead the Navarro Bulldogs by a count of 5-0. All right, fans, back with you for the Apache second inning. It'll be Hale, Kim, and Olvera up.
Number 14, Maddie Hale.
Maddie Hale, the Apache right fielder, doubled her first time up and drove in a run. First Apache run was scored by Brecklin Dennis. She had walked, and then Hale hit that double in the gap and drove her in. The Apaches added 4 more to that total, and they lead 5-0. Hale swings at a sinker ball, doesn't get it. She's in the hole, 0-2. Off-speed pitch, down and a little bit outside. Five nothing our score. The Apaches leading. We're in the bottom of the second inning. Maddie Hale goes for an outside pitch and doesn't connect, and she's down on strikes.
Now batting with
Allie
one
Kim
out.
steps into
Number
the batter's
18,
box, the
Allie
first
Kim.
baseman for the Apaches. She doubled and then later scored herself in that big first inning. She takes a pitch on the outside corner from the lefty, Caitlin Woodley. Pitch is down low. Evens the count at 1-1. There's one gone. We're in the second. Maddie Hale struck out to start the Apache second here. Little bunt that goes foul. It's a ball and 2 strikes on Allie Kim, wearing number 18 on her Apache jersey. Mentioned earlier, Allie is a sophomore and she's from Castle Rock, Colorado. She swings on a pitch that the catcher drops, but she picks it up and fires to first. So it's 2 up and 2 down for Tyler here in the second inning. 2 strikeouts
Now batting with 2 outs.
for Caitlin
Number
Woodley.
1, Malia Olvera.
And here's Malia Olvera. In her first plate appearance in the first, she was hit by a pitch, and then she scored one of the 5 runs that the Apaches put on the board. Takes a pitch outside. A ball and no strikes on Malia Olvera. Another pitch down low. Olvera is a sophomore and one of the leaders on this Apache club. It's up high. Count goes 3-0. There's a pitch that catches the corner. It's 3-1 now on O'Vera. We're in the second inning. There's a pitch that drops down low, and O'Vera is on first for the second time in this game. She walks. She was hit by a pitch in the first inning, and now she draws a base on balls.
Number 10, Jalen Perez.
And Perez, the center fielder, who bunted her last time up and got on that bunt when there was no one covering first. A strike. There are 2 down here. Hale and Kim struck out to start this inning. Now Malia O'Vera has walked, and Perez, the center fielder, stands in. There's a nice pitch on the outside corner. It's 1-2, 2 down for the Apaches. There's a hard line drive right to the shortstop. Perez hit the ball hard, but it was right at the shortstop, London Rue, who grabbed it for the 3rd out. So it's no runs for the Apaches in the second. They get no hits, no errors, and they leave 1 runner stranded. We finished 2. Game 2 of our doubleheader. And at the end of those 2 innings, the Tyler Apaches have 5 runs. The Navarro Bulldogs, 0.
Faith Fernandez.
We're headed to the 3rd here at Schwab Field. The Bulldogs from Navarro are going to send up Faith Fernandez, Callie Waller, and Maddie Wright. Faith Fernandez, a designated player. She's a freshman from Waco. She takes a pitch from Riley Denton in the dirt for a ball. 3rd inning, Apaches leading 5-0. Swing and a miss. Good curveball by Denton. Perhaps a slider. There's a little ground ball headed out to Burke at second. She grabs it, flips over to Allie Kim, and there's 1 down here in the Navarro 3rd.
Number 10, Callie Waller.
Here's Callie Waller, the Bulldogs' second baseman, her first plate appearance in game number 2. She was 0 for 3 in game 1. 2 balls on Callie Waller, the number 9 hole hitter for Navarro. In the dirt, the count goes to 3-0. There's in there for a strike. Navarro and TJC are playing elsewhere this afternoon too. The TJC baseball guys are down in Corsicana playing the Navarro College. They lost first game of a doubleheader 9-0, but in the 4th inning, the second game, they lead Navarro 2-1. It's 3-2 here on Callie Waller. Hard ball right past Brecklin Dennis. Looked like it might have taken a little hop right up over her glove. Hard hit ball.
Now batting with a runner at first and 1 out. Number 4, Maddie Wright.
Here's Maddie Wright. Callie Waller on with a hard ground ball past Brecklin Dennis at third. She's on at first. There's 1 down. There's a little tap. Denton has it, excuse me. Riley Denton ran over, scooped it up, shoveled to Allie Kim.
Now batting with a runner in scoring position, 2 outs.
That's the 2nd out of the inning. On the play, Callie Waller moves to second. Callie Waller's at second now with 2 down. Jenna Rude, who struck out her first at bat in game 2 here. She swings on a nice sinker, doesn't get it. So strike 1 on Jenna Rude. There's 2 down here in the Bulldog third. They trail the Apaches 5-0. Swung on and fouled back. Riley Denton gets ahead 0-2. Faith Fernandez started the inning for the Bulldogs by grounding out. Callie Waller hit a bullet down the third baseline that skipped over Brecklin Dennis's glove, went into left for a base hit. She's on at second now with 2 down. And Rude, the center fielder, is up. Ball was in the dirt, and on the play, Waller takes third. So Navarro has a runner at third. There are 2 out. There's a hard ground ball to shortstop Kendall Hernandez, who fires over to Allie Kim at first. Nice play by Kendall. This is a hard hit ball, but right at Fernandez. She was able to pick it up and make an accurate throw to Allie Kim. So in the third for Navarro, they get no runs, no 1 hit, no errors, and 1 stranded. So we finished 2.5 innings of game number 2 of our doubleheader, and the Tyler Apaches hold a 5-0 lead over the Navarro Bulldogs, and we'll be back for some more action very shortly.
Start to after that first
Yeah.
inning.
The first inning was long. All right, fans, back with you.
Now batting for the Apaches, Number 24, Kendall Hernandez.
Here's Hernandez, the Apache shortstop, who made a nice play of that hard hit ball to end the third inning of Navarro. Kendall popped out to the third baseman, her first plate appearance in inning number 1, where the Apaches jumped off to a big lead, 5-0. Kendall, the sophomore from Waco, Texas, wearing number 24 on her Apache jersey. Got to meet Kendall's dad and her grandmother during the break between the games. Enjoyed talking with them. Pitch outside. There's 2 balls and a strike on Kendall Hernandez, leading off the Apache third inning. It'll be Hernandez, Burke, and Vaughn up for the Tyler Junior College. There's a line drive down the right field line, and Kendall Hernandez, good piece of hitting, went to the opposite field with a hard line drive that was in there for a base hit, and so Hernandez starts the Apache third with a hard single to right field just past the first baseman.
No outs. Number 5, Riley Burke.
And Riley Burke brings up Burke. Riley has one of the 5 Apache hits. She stabs at it, attempting to bunt, but fouls it. Burke is 1 for 1 and had an RBI in that big first inning for Tyler. She runs up and swings at it, but doesn't connect. Well, she's down in the count 0-2. Caitlin Woodley in the circle for Navarro. Hernandez is at first. Pitch outside. There's a good piece of hitting by Riley Burke, who pokes one into left field. She went the opposite way, as did Hernandez to start the inning. Opposite field hits for both of the girls. And into the batter's box steps the Apache catcher, Madison Vaughn, who singled her first time up in that big first inning. She bunts out in front of the plate. Woodley, pitcher off the mound, off the circle rather, picks it up, fires to first, and it's a good job of sacrificing.
Scoring position, 1 out. Number 7, Tati Arzola.
So that's a sacrifice for Maddie Vaughn, and she moves Hernandez to third and Burke to second. And the Apaches have 2 runners in scoring position here for the leadoff batter, Tati Arzola, who's hit the ball hard several times this afternoon, but has yet to get a hit. So I would think Toddy's due to put one somewhere where they're not. She's a great contact hitter. Just coming back from injury last Thursday, or her first time in action after a while was last Thursday, and the Apaches were glad to see her back in the lineup. She hits a hard ground ball to the shortstop, who's going to go home, and she's called safe. They had to tag her, but the umpire says that the tag was late, And so
Now batting with runners
Kendall
in the
Hernandez
corners, 1 out. Number 2,
scores the sixth
Franklin
Apache
Dennis.
run. Fielder's choice for Arzola, and she winds up at first. Riley Burke at third, and now here's Brecklin Dennis, who walked and was out, first baseman unassisted. She swings hard and hits it down the first baseline, foul. The Apaches have lengthened their lead to 6-0 here in the third. Navarro, on that ground ball by Arzola, decided they'd try to make a play at home to try to keep. Brecklin Dennis hits one out into right center field. The center fielder goes out.
Now batting with runners at the corners and 2 out.
Dennis flies out to the center fielder,
Maddie Hale.
and for some reason, the base runner at third did not tag up and come in for some reason, so that's maybe a mental lapse or something there. Here's Maddie Hale. Arzola steals second on the pitch. Maddie Hale has a double, and she struck out in her 2 plate appearances here in game number 2. The Apaches now have runners at second and third. Burke's at third. Arzola is at second. There's 2 down. There's a good pitch, a curveball that landed on the outside corner. Nice, very nice pitch by Caitlin Woodley. Swing on a slider that Hale couldn't connect. So she's even in the count, 2-2. There's 2 outs. We're in the third. The Apaches have scored 1 run. Hale taps it foul over to the right. 2-2 on Maddie Hale. Apache scored 5 runs in the first inning. They've scored 1 here in the third. They've still got runners on second and third, but there are 2 outs. Off-speed pitch that falls down a little bit low. Full count. Hale the hitter. There's a ground ball knocked down by the pitcher, who made a good play, picks it up and threw to first for the out, and that's the 3rd out of the inning. A hard hit ball right up the middle, but Caitlin Woodley reached her glove out and knocked the ball down. She picked it up. She fired over to Tatum Briggs at first, and that's the 3rd out of the inning. The Apaches do score 1 run. They had 1 hit by Burke. There were a couple of runners left on base, and at the end of 3 innings, the Tyler Apaches lead the Navarro Bulldogs by a count of 6-0. More action coming soon.
Now batting for the Bulldogs, number 12.
All right, fans.
Islas.
We move to the fourth inning, top of the fourth, of the Navarro Bulldogs come to bat. Alana Islas, Tatum Briggs, and Harley Davison are due up to face the slender right-hander from Rotan, Riley Denton. Through 3 innings, Riley has given up only 1 hit. Riley struck out 3 so far, walked 1. 6-0, Apaches leading. We've moved now to the fourth. There's a hard ground ball past foul down past third. Around the Apache infield, Allie Kim's at first, Riley Burks at second, Kendall Hernandez is the shortstop, and Brecklin Dennis is at third. Arzola, Perez, and Hale from left to right, your outfield. Islas gets ahead of Denton, 3-1. Taps it foul. Count goes to 3-2. We just started the fourth inning. In case any of you are just now joining us, the Apaches had a big first inning, scoring 5 runs. Then they've added 1 in the third. There's a hard ground ball between short and third, and that's a base hit for Islas. No question about that ball. Ball was hit extremely hard. So Islas has a second hit off Denton, and Briggs, the first baseman, comes up. She walked in the second and was left stranded. Alana Islas has led off the Bulldog fourth with a hard base hit. There's a pitch that catches the outside corner for a strike. No balls, 2 strikes. Briggs is the hitter for Navarro.
Now, if she strikes out, don't strike it out. Reset it. There. Just reset it.
She swings on an outside drop ball, and she doesn't get it.
I know, it's just.
And she's a strikeout victim of Riley Denton, and that's the first out in the fourth inning.
1 out. Number 3, Harley Davis.
Swing and a miss by Davis. There's a pitch, just a bit inside. Evens the count at 1-1. There's 1 out here in the fourth, and Alana Islas, who singled hard to left, is on at first. Briggs has struck out now, and Harley Davis, the Bulldog right fielder, has a ball and 2-strike count on her. Swing, and she goes down swinging. Nice pitch again by Burke. He's got that
Now batting,
drop
runner
ball,
first in 2
which
outs.
sinks.
Number 44, London Rue.
Has an extreme sink on it. And that's 2 down, 2 strikeouts in a row for Riley Denton. And London Rue, the shortstop, takes a pitch down low. Rue grounded out Hernandez to Kim in the second inning, in her only plate appearance so far in this second game. There's a little ground ball tap toward Riley Burke. She bobbles it, but picks it up, is able to shovel it over to Allie Kim for the 3rd out. So after a leadoff single by Alana Islas, the Bulldogs go 1-2-3, and they don't score in the 4th. They have 1 base hit. There were no errors and 1 runner left on base. At the end of 3.5 innings, our score in Game 2 of our doubleheader here at Schwab Field, it's the Tyler Apaches 6 and the Navarro College Lady Bulldogs nothing. Okay, everyone, we're back with you, and it'll be Kim, Olvera, and Perez, the hitters for the Apaches, here in inning number 4. There's a line drive headed for the gap in right center. It's going to go. She is going to get a double. Allie Kim gets her 2nd double of this game out into the right center field. They cut it off out there, but by the time they got it back in the infield, Kim had gotten to 2nd. She had doubled and scored a run in inning 1. She struck out in the 2nd, but now has doubled to start off the Apache 4th. I believe we're going to have a pitching change for the Bulldogs. Coach Karinky Burke has motioned to the bullpen, and we'll have a pitching change here. We'll get that number for you in just a moment. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. Allie Kim has started the number 6. That's Swacker, who started the game, I believe. Yep, she started the game. She's back in there. Had a little rest, and now she's back in the circle for the Bulldogs.
Oh, is this the one that started the game? Okay, there's that weird rule.
The Apaches are going to send Malia Olvera, the designated player, up, who has been hit by a pitch on and scored in the 1st inning, and then Malia walked in the 2nd. Olvera stands in. She takes a pitch inside by Swacker. Allie Kim is out at 2nd with her 2nd double of the game. Olvera hits it hard down the third baseline, just foul. There's nobody out. Runner on. There's a ground ball headed towards second. She picks it up, fires to first. So Olvera is out 4-3. Waller over to Briggs.
Position, 1 out. Number 10, Jalen Perez.
And here's center fielder Jalen Perez, a freshman from College Station, Texas. She was on with a bunt single and scored in the first, and then she lined the ball out to the shortstop for an out in inning number 2. She takes a pitch on the inside corner. On that play, that ground ball by Olvera, Kim moved to third, so she's in scoring position down at third with only 1 out. And Perez is trying to find a way to get the 7th run in. And maybe she's done it. There's a fly ball out to left field. Yeah, that ball is plenty deep enough to get Kim in. So there's Jalen Perez flies out to the left fielder. A sacrifice fly. Good job by Jalen.
Number 24, Kendall Hernandez.
So that's the second out. But the Apaches have pushed across another run. Kendall Hernandez, who singled and scored in the third, is up for her 3rd time. She popped out in the first. The Apaches have pushed their lead to 7-0. Seven runs on 7 hits for the Apaches so far in game number 2. There's a pitch, a bit outside. So Hernandez has 3 balls and no strikes on her. She's ahead in the count. A little inside, and so Hernandez draws a walk. Apaches now have another base runner.
Number 5, Riley Burke.
And Riley Burke, who has 2 hits, 2 singles in this game too. They're 2 down and a runner at first. Burke takes a cut at it and misses. Ball up high. Count evens 1-1. Riley Burke, the California native, left-handed hitter. Takes a little half swing and fouls it back. Count goes to 1-2. The Apaches scored 5 big runs in inning number 1 to jump off to a big lead, and then they've added to one run in the third, and now they've scored 1 more in the 4th. They have a runner at first and 2 down. Burke protects the plate and fouls it back, stays alive. Tap foul. 2-2 on Burke. She fouls another one down the left field line. Swacker into her motion, and the pitch. There's a fly ball out to deep left center field. It's over the center fielder's head, and Riley Burke is going to pull into second base with a long double out to the fence. That's going to score Hernandez all the way around from first.
Now batting with runner in scoring position, 2 outs. Number 22, Maddie Bond.
Here's Maddie Vaughn, the Apache catcher. She singled and sacrificed in her 2 plate appearances. It's 8-0 Apaches. They've pushed across 2 more runs here in the 4th inning. Nice piece of hitting by Burke. She's 3 for 3. There's a little pop. Third baseman comes in on it. She gathers it in. So that's going to be the 3rd out for the Apaches. However, they score 2 runs on 2 base hits. There were no errors. And there was 1 runner left on. We finished 4 complete innings in Game 2 here at Schwab Field on the campus of Brook Hill School. The Apaches now lead the Navarro Bulldogs by a count of 8-0. Be back in just a moment.
Now batting at the top of the 5th with the Apaches leading 8-0. Number 9, Jordan Reese.
We go to the 5th inning for Navarro. Reese, Fernandez, and Waller are scheduled, and we have a new pitcher for the Apaches in the circle. The sophomore Grayson Long has come in to relieve Riley Denton. There's a pitch on the outside corner for a strike. It's 8-0 Apaches. They've out-hit Navarro 8-2 this second game. Swing and miss on a good drop ball. 2 strikes on Reese. She struck out in the 2nd inning in her only plate appearance in this 2nd game so far. Grayson throws a little high. It's a ball and 2 strikes. There's a pitch just outside a bit. Count evens 2-2 on Jordan Reese. The freshman from West Texas. There's a line drive past Dennis at third into left field. Good piece of hitting by Reese. She reached out there and
Now batting with a runner at first.
went to the opposite field.
Number 8, Faith Fernandez.
She's on there with the third Navarro hit of this game, number 2. And here's Faith Fernandez, who grounded second to first in her only plate appearance. Grayson Long fires outside, ball and no strikes. Reese on at first with a base hit to left. Fernandez, the freshman from Waco, Texas, standing in there. She fouls it off to the right. It's 2 balls and a strike. We're in the top half of the 5th inning, and the Apaches at present are holding an 8-0 lead. First game was won by Navarro 2-0 on a great pitching performance by Braley Force, who bested Emily Holscher, who did a great job pitching for the Apaches.
No, you're good. That was him. Yeah, that was him. So 2 strikes.
2 strikes, 2-2.
He called a strikeout, but he knows he may.
2-2.
You're good. That's
Fernandez is your hitter. Grayson Long.
Now he
Rise ball in there, and Fernandez goes for it, doesn't connect, and she's a strikeout victim for out number 1.
first and 1 out.
Grayson Long is a sophomore.
Waller.
She's from Livingston, Texas. Definitely one of the leaders on this Apache club. Here's Callie Waller, the second baseman, in to bat. There's a throw to second as Reese steals second. The throw was just a bit late, and so Reese goes to second on the pitch. It's 1-1 on Waller. Fernandez is a strikeout victim for the first out of this inning. Waller has a 2-ball and 1 strike count on her. Ball inside for 3-1. Dennis, Fernandez, Burke, and Kim still around the infield for the Apaches. There's a foul ball over. Callie Kim might have a play on it, and she catches it. Nice play by Allie Kim. I was blocked from our view, but she went almost into the.
But it hit the top, so it's not an out.
I'm sorry, it hit the top.
It hit the dugout. The top
Oh, it
of
hit the dugout. Okay, I could not see it. So Waller has a life. Kim went over as far as she could. Thought for a moment she might have made the play, but there's a little pop down the left field line. Tati Arzola made a good running catch. I didn't think she would be able to catch up with that ball, but Tati's fast. She was a sprinter in high school in Rogers, and she She sprinted over there.
Maddie Wright.
She sprinted over into foul territory and caught that ball for the second out. And Maddie Wright stands in after 2 are out, and Grayson Long fires a pitch on the outside corner for a strike. I believe if Wright doesn't get on here and this inning ends, this game may be over. Run rule, I think. Coach Talcott tells me that that's the case.
But he's a soccer guy, so he'll just...
Yeah, he's a soccer guy, so we'll reserve judgment here. But there's a pitch up, a ball and 2 strikes. Coach Derek Talcott handling the public address this afternoon, as he does quite often when his schedule allows him to get out here. Soccer guys start their season pretty soon. It's 2-2. There are 2 outs. Jordan Reese is at second. Grayson Long trying to take care of business here and end the day's action. There is a pitch. Strike 3.
Final score of game 2 of today's doubleheader. Navarro College 0, your
Maddie Wright
Apaches 8.
strikes out,
Please
and
drive carefully on your way home.
so no runs. There's 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left. And so the Tyler Apaches have come back here in game number 2, and they have defeated the Navarro Bulldogs by a count of 8-0. In this game, we'll take a look in just a moment.
Yes.
The line score.
I'm up there at 10 a.m. Oh, yeah, I'll be up there. I'll get you. I'll text you.
The Apaches jumped off to a big lead in the very first inning of game 2 after they were defeated. After they were defeated 2-0 in the first game, they came back with a vengeance here in game 2. They jumped all over Navarro and scored 5 big runs in inning number 1 and took a commanding lead. Took a commanding lead 5-0 after the first inning. They added 1 run in the 3rd inning and 2 runs in the 4th inning for their total of 8. They had 8 base hits. Navarro was held to 3 hits, 4 innings by the starter, Riley Denton, who did a great job. She pitched 4 innings, allowed 2 hits, struck out 5, and only walked 1. Grayson Long pitched the 5th. She gave up 1 hit, but struck out 2. So those 2 young ladies did a great job of helping the Apaches rebound from that tough loss in game number 1. As far as hitting for the Apaches in game 2, Toddy Orzola drove in a run. Maddie Hale was 1 for 3 and had an RBI. Allie Kim did some big hitting in game 2. She was 2 for 3, scored 2 runs and had an RBI. Jalen Perez drove in a run. Riley Burke had a great day at the plate. She was 3 for 3 in game 2 and with 2 RBIs. Maddie Vaughn also contributed a hit for a total of 8. So the Apaches, after a tough loss in game number 1, they come back now in game 2 and take an 8-0 victory over the Bulldogs. So we got a split of the doubleheader out here at Schwab Field. Both games moved along real well, and good hard-fought action. Enjoyed bringing it to you this afternoon. All right, this is Dr. Johnson from Schwab Field in Bullard, repeating our scores First game was a Navarro victory 2-0 over the Apaches on the strength of the shutout by Braley Force. They scored 2 runs early in the first inning of that game 1 and held on to beat the Apaches 2-0. And in game 2, the Apaches came back, scoring 8 runs on 8 hits, while holding the Bulldogs to only 3 hits. And they secured a win 8-0 in game number 2 here at Schwab Field. Glad that we could bring you the streaming of our games this afternoon. A beautiful day here at the ballpark, and people had a good time. So Dr. Johnson signing off here at Bullard with a split of our doubleheader, and we'll be with you again soon as the Apaches, let's see, they play next, let's see, just a minute. Coach Resendez is trying to help me remember when they play next. I think it's next Wednesday maybe, but we'll see. Anyway, glad to have you, those of you who could join us this afternoon for the action. Enjoyed bringing it to you. So for the Tyler Athletic Department, Kevin Vest, Athletic Director, Chuck Smith, Associate Director, Kelsey Weeks, Assistant Athletic Director, and all the folks in the TJC Athletic Department, we're glad to bring the ball games to you. And this is Dr. Johnson signing off from Schwab Field. So long, everyone.